Some of the major companies who have pulled their ads from Facebook, or at least are redirecting. Facebook collected more than $70 billion, nearly all from ad sales, and a significant chunk comes from these big names. Their business is vital as small companies scale back or close because of the pandemic. So Lululemon, Patagonia was, of course, one of the very earlier ones. If you look at the really big spenders, Coca-Cola, 22 million, Diageo, 22.9 million, Starbucks, way up there, 94 million, Unilever. You see the number there, the sort of really sizable ones. Brewster Kahle is the chief executive of Kahle Brands. He joins me now. Whenever we need to understand the corporate mindset as it relates to PR, you would return to you, Bruce. So, what do you make of this? You have a particular view of a timeline for how this goes.
Of course, because even though this is the first time we've seen this happen in this instance, this happens all the time. We don't want, as advertisers, the place where we put our messaging to override the message. At that point, advertising, as you and I have talked about, Richard, turns into badvertising. And the big problem that Facebook has here is that once these big companies make these statements, other people are going to hear it, other people are going to follow suit. And then the timeline starts to roll, and what first was a response, let's face it, it's only a July response right now, but at some point that response could grow. And when that happens, Facebook is going to be playing catch-up, going to be playing defense. And if they get to the point where they have to prove that, in fact, marketing and advertising on their platform is not detrimental to your brand, instead of advertising with them will make you money, they're in a lot of trouble.
Right, but this timeline which we're now showing, advertising to advertising, Facebook to Facebook, ban to bounty, but it ends up with everybody being back on board, and as you put it, all is forgiven. What has to happen for Facebook to get to that point?
Well, Facebook will do the right things. First of all, you heard the guest who was on just before me say that Facebook says, we do not stand for this, we do not like that. But let's face it, their actions don't prove that. However, as long as their statements continue to back that up, and they fix their algorithms to where people stop seeing that speech that they dislike next to their messaging, right, at some point, the advertisers need to spend that money. They need to speak to their consumers. And so one of two things happens.
Right.
Either Facebook takes such a hit, and let's face it, Instagram as well, takes such a hit that the advertisers go elsewhere longer term. I don't see that happening. Instead, Facebook will do enough of the right things where all will be forgiven. They've been rather tone deaf up to this point. They haven't had to do anything. Now they have to do something. And if they do it right...
Hang on, Bruce. I saw in the statement issued by one of the vice presidents, EVPs at Facebook, where she basically said, we don't give in on where revenue is being used as a cudgel to beat us. I think the exact words were, I hope you've realised by now that Facebook doesn't give in just because somebody says it's going to be, they're going to use money against us.
Yeah, that's a great thing to say, unless the cudgel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Remember the old racing slogan, don't race what you can't replace. Facebook loses this revenue in July. That revenue never comes back. They never earn that again. It's okay. But if they lose it again in August and it gets bigger, and they lose it again in September and it gets bigger, now they're racing something they can't replace. Instead, what they're going to realize is they can tweak here, they can twist there, and when they do that, those advertisers see the benefit and they all come back. Facebook knows the way this plays out. They can act tough now, but at some point, they're going to change what they're doing because they want to welcome back this market. By the way, if they don't do this, it's not lost on them that before them there was something called MySpace. And before MySpace, there was something called Friendster. And these platforms continually change. Facebook has done a great job of staying relevant, but they have to keep doing that every single day.